Today we're going to talk about those times when you have a thought that pops into your head that's a really disturbing thought, that it's often a really upsetting thought. Now, I'm not talking about those times that most of us experience where, just we have like a brief little image that goes through our heads. Like you're walking over a bridge and you think, I wonder what would happen if I just jumped off this bridge. Or you're driving down the road and you're like, I wonder what would happen if I just turned the steering wheel. You know, those little ones where you're like, whoa, that was weird. That was a weird thought. And then you just kind of like are able to kind of move past it and keep going. No? Just me? I know that I am not the only one who has these types of thoughts. But I'm not actually talking about those ones here. I'm not talking about those just sort of bizarre little fleeting thoughts that come into our head that we're able to just put aside and move forward from pretty quickly. I'm talking about really intrusive thoughts. Thoughts that come into our mind in the form of actually really vivid images, or it triggers a really deep and real fear that doesn't just come in and then go away right away. Maybe it's something that comes in and we think about it a lot and it kind of gets stuck in there. Maybe it's an intrusive thought about something terrible happening to a loved one. Maybe it's an intrusive thought that comes up if you find like a lump on your leg and you're like, oh my gosh, it's definitely cancer and I'm going to die in a week. Maybe it's about giving a presentation at work, anticipating giving a presentation and not being able to get rid of the thought that this is going to be terrible and I'm going to fail miserably and I'm going to look like a fool and I'm going to be fired. And it puts you in a pretty strong state of fear or anxiety. That's what we're going to talk about here today, how to deal with those thoughts when they come up. If you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. If you haven't already, take a second, subscribe to the channel. It is about right down there. And my name is Kristina, and I'm a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of my membership program, The Shift Society, that you can get more information about in the description below as well. I help heart center go-getter men and women break through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And this talk about what to do with these intrusive thoughts is something that actually came from a member of my Shift Society membership program. We do live Q&As every 2 weeks where people can submit any question that they have, and then I go deep dive into talking about them and helping them work through that specific issue. And this member of the community asked, how do I deal with intrusive thoughts, especially when it comes to health concerns? If I feel, a tension in my neck and all of a sudden my brain starts to think like, oh my gosh, I have a growth on my neck. Or if I think about even, currently at this time and space in history, if I think about the coronavirus, and what if I get the coronavirus and, start freaking out and can't stop thinking about it and can't stop stressing about it. And it's not just like this little possibility in the back of your brain. It's this very kind of big, real thing that your brain can't stop thinking about. And like I talked about too, even when it comes to work stuff, the thought of having a conversation with your boss and having all kinds of intrusive thoughts about your boss talking to you and firing you without notice or without warning. And so living in this fear from these invasive, intrusive thoughts that come up. And so the exercise that I'm going to teach you today is a really powerful one when you actually make sure that you take the time to do it. And it's even not that hard to do. So as I teach you this exercise, I want to teach it to you through an illustration. So let's say you are talking to a small child. Maybe it's your own child, for those of you who have children, or if you have a niece or a nephew, maybe a child maybe around 4, 5, 6 years old. For those of you who have older children, remember back to when your child was 4, 5, or 6 years old, that kind of age where they're innocent, where they are really looking to you for guidance, for support, for wisdom, for safety, for reassurance. And let's say that child comes to you and they tell you the thing that you have been fearing. So let's say they come to you and they say, Mom, The coronavirus is out there. What if we get the coronavirus? What if someone in our family gets coronavirus? What if this happens and even if we're taking precautions and this thing happens and one of us gets it and we get really sick from it? What would you say? Would you go running around flapping your arms and saying, oh my gosh, this is awful, this is terrible, what are we gonna do? This is so horrible, I don't know what's gonna happen, you're right, this is so scary, this is so awful? You probably wouldn't do that if a small child came to you. Or let's say the child came to you and said, Mom, I have this pain in my stomach and I don't know what it is and it came out of nowhere and I'm really scared and what could it be? What if it means that something's terribly wrong? And you wouldn't look at that child and say, oh my gosh, let's call 911. This is awful. It's surely some kind of cancerous growth and you're gonna die immediately. We need to deal with this right now. Where's the phone? Let's get an ambulance here. You wouldn't do that. But it's funny how we often have these reactions to ourselves. We often, when there's something, this little bit of fear that comes up, or maybe it's a big fear that comes up and it pops into our head and we start thinking about it, and then we start freaking out about it. And we start turning this one thought, this one potential, maybe not even all that likely, but possible outcome, we turn it into an inevitable, and then we freak out about it. But we wouldn't ever do that to a child who is looking to us for that wisdom, for that guidance, for that reassurance. What would you say to that child? What would you say to that innocent little 4 or 5 or 6-year-old who is looking to you for that reassurance? Hey, bud, I know that the coronavirus is out there. I know that there's people that are getting sick from it, but we are taking precautions and we are being careful and we are wearing our mask and we are following the guidelines that are being given to us. And we're going to do the best that we can. And if someone gets it, if someone in our family gets it, we will deal with it. We will figure it out. We will be there with and for each other. This is not something that we need to freak out about. We are being smart about it and we can't fully control it. But we are going to do what we can, and we're going to trust that no matter what happens, we will figure it out. Same thing, pain in the stomach. Hey, bud, hey, sweetie. I hear that you're really upset about that pain in your stomach. I hear that you're really confused because you don't know what's going on. So maybe let's just take a couple days and see if it gets any better. And if it stays around, if it doesn't, go away and there's no real explanation for it, then yeah, let's call up the doctor and let's go make an appointment and let's get it checked out. Let's see if it is something. But for right now, you're pretty healthy. You're very healthy. And there's no really obvious reason why this would be something terrible right now, but let's keep an eye on it. That's how we would respond. We would stay calm and stay grounded. We wouldn't pretend like, oh, no, it's no big deal, because the child knows in the back of the child's mind, the child's like, how do you know? How do you know that this is definitely not a problem? And it's the same things for us, for our adult brains. If we start to tell ourselves, oh, it's no big deal, nothing's going to happen, nothing bad could ever happen, the back of our brain is like, well, that's not entirely true. I don't totally buy it, and that doesn't actually make me feel all that better because you're kind of lying to me right now. So be honest about it without freaking out about it. So using that tool when an invasive or intrusive thought comes in that rattles you with fear, to take a step back, to take a breath, and to imagine yourself talking to that child, maybe even talking to your own inner child, that scared inner child that is feeling out of control, that's feeling unsafe, that's feeling vulnerable, and being able to talk to him or her and give her wisdom, give him guidance, give her reassurance, give him comfort, and offer to help him or her do what needs to be done to keep you safe to the best of your ability, without actually promising that nothing terrible is going to happen, but being able to remind yourself that you will be able to handle whatever it is that happens. that you are smart, that you are strong, that you're resourceful, that you're courageous, that you are resilient, that you will be able to handle whatever it is that happens, building up that self-trust. If having a lot of invasive thoughts is something that you struggle with, I have a 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise for you that's going to help you just be able to take a step back, be able to see that these thoughts that are going through your head, as fear-inducing as they can be, as distressing as they can be, they are just thoughts. They are literally just sentences in your mind. And if this is something you're like, what are you talking about, Julia? Start off by getting my 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. That is free. The link to that will be in the description. And then also come and join us in the Shift Society. This is the deeper work that we are doing, how to not let our minds and emotions control us, and how we can get in the driver's seat of our own lives so we can feel like we are directing our own lives and not being tossed around by whatever thought tends to pop into our head or whatever emotion comes in and tries to take us over. Get on the wait list for that. That is in the description below as well. Like the video, share it out if you thought that this was helpful and that more people would find this helpful. If you know of people, actually, you probably do. They may not talk about it because a lot of people won't talk openly about this because it can be a little bit embarrassing to think like, oh my gosh, I have these really vivid thoughts that come in and almost even paralyze me with fear. Share this out because I'm going to get to guarantee you that at least someone in your life is struggling with this. They're not talking about it and they don't know what to do about it. Share this exercise with them. And if you do share it, please let me know in the comment section below so that I can thank you, because that means the world to me. Always so good to have you here. Until next time, take good care.